So Matt Ross, writer and director, said that when he made the film called Captain Fantastic, he had completely forgotten that there was an Elton John album that his mother had played him as a child. And it wasn't until he showed the script to her that she went, "Oh, he's Captain Fantastic." And he went, "What?" And she went, "You know, Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy, the Elton John album that I played to you as a child." And he went, "Oh." And there's a lovely clip on YouTube of him doing I think it's a radio interview, and somebody says, "Okay, well, let me play you this." And they start playing him the beginning of Captain Fantastic, the song. And he genuinely doesn't recognise it. And it's not until they get to the first line, "Captain Fantastic." Right? And he goes, "Oh, yes, fine. Now I see why you're playing it." But that will prove that I actually didn't have that in mind.
You would think that it's some way in the production process.
Oh, do you know, by the time it was in production, because he's talking about script time, but he just said that that's not where it came from. He just liked the phrase and he liked the thing that it evoked. So the story, and he had some experience of growing up in communes in the Northwest as when he was a child. So the story is Viggo Mortensen is the patriarch in a family who have gone off the grid. They are now living in the forests of the Pacific Northwest, 6 children aged 7 to 18, and father who has raised the children to basically be completely self-sufficient. So by daytime, they hunt, they scale rocky cliffs. By nighttime, by firelight, they read the Brothers Karamazov and Middlemarch, discuss Marxism and celebrate Noam Chomsky Day, and to become philosopher kings. It is meant to be an idyll created out of the ideas of Plato's Republic. However, there is an absence, and the absence is their mother, who the children are starting to wonder if and when she's coming back. Here's a clip.
Training is over today. Can we take Steve somewhere for class later?
Maybe.
Why does Mommy have to be gone so long?
She hasn't been gone very long.
Actually, it's been 3 months, 2 weeks, 6 days, and 11 hours.
Mom is very ill.
Don't talk to us like we're your inferiors.
Bo is right. Mom needs to be in the hospital right now.
But you said hospitals are only a great place to go
If you're a healthy person and you want to die.
You said Americans are undereducated and over-medicated.
You said that AMA are avaricious whores only tooling to spread their fat legs for Big Pharma.
All of those things are true, but Mom does not have enough of the neurotransmitter serotonin to conduct electrical signals in her brain.
Exactly when is Mom coming back?
That's what I'm gonna go find out. Be good, monkey butts.
See you later, Dad. Bye.
Bye, guys.
So what then happens is that the movie turns into a road movie in which they have to make their way out of their home in the woods, to slip in an Elton John reference. And, of course, you know all of Captain Fantastic off by heart. Just me, sorry.
Yeah, just you.
I love that album. I just love that album. Anyway, and it then becomes a road movie, which is a sort of road movie culture clash, that you have the family who encounter for the first time, as far as the kids are concerned, diners and suburban suppers and supermarkets and all the things against which their parents have railed for all the time that they've been educated in the woods. And some of the relatives think that the children aren't properly educated, but it turns out that they are better read and better informed and more philosophically thoughtful than any of the children that have been in the school system. However, what they don't have is experience of the outside world, the, in inverted commas, real world. And what the film is then about, according to its writer-director, is Viggo Mortensen's character the best dad in the world or the worst dad in the world? Or is he actually a bit of both? And I like this film very much. I like it for a number of reasons. The first one is that I think that it's a film that handles its shifts in tone very well. There is all the time a battle between light and dark going on in it. So whereas on the one hand you have this idea, this kind of almost Kings of Summer idea of children out in the woods, there is behind all that Lord of the Flies, you see it at the very, very beginning, but also a hint of the Manson family, you know, kids with hunting knives being led by a beardy charismatic. These ideas are all clearly present in the film. The second thing is that it's a film which is much more even-handed with its characters than you might expect it to be. When they get out into the outside world and they come up against the family who think that actually what Viggo Mortensen's character is doing, Ben, is abusive to his children, you see their point of view. You understand that they are, they're coming from a different belief system, but you understand what it is that they're doing. You also think that their motives are more complex than perhaps they may appear. Now, although the narrative has shades of Grand Theft Parsons and What We Did on a Holiday, this is actually much, much closer in tone to, I mentioned that Jordan Vogt Roberts film Kings of Summer, and it's much closer in that tone. It also has very interesting use of music, particularly use of song. There's a sequence very, very early on when Viggo Mortensen and George Mackay, who plays the older son, who incidentally is brilliant. I mean, he is absolutely brilliant. I love him in everything, but particularly in this, he's fantastic as the boy who at the beginning of the film is becoming a man and yet hasn't got any experience of the outside world. And when he goes out to the outside world for the first time, he's suddenly having to deal with, you know, potential romance, and it's stuff that he's, as he says himself, we know only about what we've read about in books. Anyway, they're playing the guitar, and the younger son starts drumming out this kind of rhythm that seems to be aggressive, and it's almost like a discussion which is had musically, and it's really, really well done. And then it turns into a kind of dance sequence, and I thought it was really, really beautifully done. Also, incidentally, some, you know, very evocative incidental scoring, which I thought worked well as well. And so you got the sense all the way through it that what there is that there's textures. I mean, it's funny, but it's also tragic. It has this underlying tension about whether the reason the family are in the woods in the first place is to do with Ben, with Viggo Mortensen's character, and whether it's to do with him being sanctimonious and self-righteous and deciding that he's right and everybody's wrong, and him being a kind of crazy charismatic, or whether actually there's something else behind it, that he's in fact being motivated by, that he's not the driving force behind it, that in fact there may be something else behind all that. And what the film did for me was to play very carefully with its sympathies. And I mean, the bits that are funny are funny. There was one point about 2/3 of the way through that I thought, hang on, we're going to lose it here. It's actually going to push, the narrative is going to tip it over into absurdity. But it pulled it back from that rather well. And it did that thing that I know people always say this, you know, in that the Four Weddings and a Funeral speech, laughter and tears, something for everybody. And I did feel that. I mean, I was moved to tears on more than one occasion. I also laughed a lot. I loved the vibrancy of the performances. I thought, you know, Mortensen brought a real kind of grit and integrity to the role. Catherine Hahn, Steve Zahn. And it was, and on a production level as well, production design level, it was a film that I believed in their world. I believed in this kind of, you know, crazy commune that they had created, and the conflict, which could so easily have turned into something caricatured. That's a thumbs up.